We should be live. God, I'm going to be excited to do this. Honestly, I'm very surprised to see how many people were excited to jump into these drafts with us, how many people are excited to start getting fantasy football content for this upcoming season. But I'm not going to complain. You know, there's nothing I enjoy more on this planet than getting a live stream going, getting a live draft going. So we are going to have a ton of these going forward. Probably, I want to say 1 to 2 a week up until August. And then in August, I'm probably going to be streaming about 6 drafts a day. I could not be more excited. Of course, I am hoping that you want to get in here with us, but let me go through, update this live stream just really quickly. And I think that we should be good to go to send out this link. We're going to send this link out over on Locals real quick. I'll also post it in the YouTube chat if it takes a little bit of time for people to get in here. But thank you. If you are already in the chat right now, please let me know if we have any issues with the live stream. We are doing a couple things different. I think we are streaming on Rumble, Twitch, and YouTube all at once. So yeah, it's going to put a lot of weight on my computer. But please, as we wait for this draft to fill, it should only take 20 seconds. Go down there. Drop a like on this live stream. Subscribe to the channel for whatever reason you haven't, but I'd imagine you already have. And at any point I say something stupid in this live stream, you know the rule. Do not hesitate to go down there to the comment section and let me know exactly how dumb I am. Give me your opinion, because I promise you, I genuinely do appreciate it. But that should be it. Looks like this draft is about to fill. And yeah, we just have 2 more people. Let me pull up the live chat and I will send that link out if we need to. But who all do we have out here right now? Okay, we got Thomas, Dylan, Jake, Robert, Roberto, Wesley, Jordan, Brian, Jaden, PS, Rodrigo, Amy, Brian, Fourth, and Casey. Thank y'all so much, of course. JL says, how do I join? Okay, so if you have not done so, please, the number one thing that I'm going to ask for you today, tomorrow, the next day, whenever it may be, is go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. That's where we're drafting right now. On Underdog Fantasy, you can get into real money drafts, whether it's with your friends, whether it's with me on a live stream, whether it's with random people from the lobby. They have drafts going literally 24/7. And when you use promo code FLOCK and you sign up, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. And on top of that, you will get our in-depth research book on Dynasty Fantasy Football, over 100 plus pages of quality information that's going to help you and your 2022 leagues as well. And also, you will get a month-long trial period to Locals, which host all our premium content, including extra Q&A live streams, including our rankings and everything of the sort. You can find the link to Underdog in the description of the live stream. I just sent it out in the chat as well. But looks like we just got shafted. We got the 111 here. Obviously not going to be too excited about that, but it is what it is. We got to deal with it, and we got to make the most of it. So we are drafting 2 spots away from Thomas. Let's see if there's anybody else in here. We got Deezonators. We got Post-Dill. We got all the usuals out here. We got Kickers Lives Matter, Lugs. I literally know probably every single person in this draft. But what I want to focus in on is every time I get a player off the board here that I think is an absurd value and way undervalued here on Underdog, I'm going to focus in and talk a little bit about that option. Now, of course, I mean, we kind of do that all the time, but I'm going to spend more time on those players that I think are being undervalued compared to overvalued. And like I said, we're going to be doing a million of these drafts for y'all to get in with me and for me to kind of commentate over. So I'll be able to talk in depth about these guys. So Derrick Henry goes to the 103. Derrick Henry, about to be, I mean, he will be turning 29 at the end of this upcoming season. He is not a spring chicken anymore. Coming off a injury, has had about 1,000 total touches over the past 4 years. I'm probably off Derrick Henry, to be completely honest. I know we've already talked about that. I'm not trying to talk about the players that I am going to be avoiding. Love seeing Justin Jefferson here go at the 105. Personally, I have Justin Jefferson ranked over Jamar Chase in our rankings this upcoming season. Of course, if you're playing Dynasty, you prefer Jamar Chase, but from a redraft perspective, to see the volume that Justin Jefferson's locked into in Minnesota, I think that he's a player that's going to be very exciting going forward. You have Javonte Williams, Austin Eckler. Thomas here is a big Chargers fan. Imagine he wanted Eckler, maybe fall into him at the 109. Instead, he gets Najee Harris. Let's pull this up. Okay, so yeah, we have Davante Adams, Tyreek Hill at the very top of ADP. I think we were in a very similar situation to this last draft, weren't we? I think so. I wish I remember who we ended up taking at the very top of the last draft. Ooh, this is going to be... Davante Adams goes to the 110. Honestly, I'm not considering Davante Adams. I'm not considering Tyreek Hill with these selections. I prefer Stephon Diggs over these players, to be honest. So now there are 2 running backs on the board that I'm completely fine with. I'm probably just going to go with the guy that has the higher ADP, because if I'm going to be drafting over 200 of these teams, say, even if I have Joe Mixon ranked slightly ahead of Dalvin Cook and they're in the same tier for me, it's going to be very hard for me to go out there and say, take Joe Mixon over Dalvin Cook 100% of the time, because if I'm drafting 200 teams here, I can't have 100 of those teams with Joe Mixon and 0 of those teams with Dalvin Cook. And all of a sudden, if Joe Mixon rolls his ankle week 1 and misses 8 weeks of the season, I can't go bankrupt. I can't declare bankruptcy and have to give up any hopes that I have of ever getting a house. So yeah, we're going to take Dalvin here in the first, just balance it a little bit. I'd imagine this season we are going to have a lot more Joe Mixon. However, he does go at the 201. The last draft we were in with this selection, I believe we came away with Travis Kelce. I'm going to do that same exact thing here. I'm going to take Travis Kelce. When you take Kelce, you're only going to have to draft 2 total tight ends, which of course is going to be a plus. We're able to use an extra roster spot on the receiver position, even though we passed on that spot with the first and second round selections. We could possibly just make up for it based on what we're going to be doing a little bit later on. But let me try to slide this up, so maybe that's a little bit of a better view for everybody. Please let me know how the live stream looks and if there's anything I can do to improve it for y'all. Okay, so Caden says Mason Underdog isn't available in Montana. I am sorry to hear that, my friend. I really hope Underdog's available in Montana very soon. And Deezonator says, I feel like Cooper Kupp is safer than Christian McCaffrey. Definitely agree. Cooper Kupp is safer. I mean, with Christian McCaffrey, it's all about understanding the upside, in my opinion. How I approach every draft, especially if I'm going to draft 200 teams. Even though I want to say that I am far above average at fantasy football, which, I mean, I know a lot of people would argue with, and you have your own opinion. Completely valid. I'm an idiot. But I know that my odds every time I enter into one of these fantasy football drafts to win this, they're stacked against me. There are 11 other owners. If you do some quick math, you have about an 8.5% chance of winning your league. That is already an incredibly low mark. You have over a 90% chance of losing every draft you enter. What we need to work on is we need to work on bumping up that win rate from about 8.5% to about 20, 25%. And if you're able to do that, if you can do that with an insane amount of volume, you will A, print money, and B, be one of the best fantasy football players on the planet. So if I'm viewing Christian McCaffrey at the beginning of the first, I understand the risk is definitely there. If Christian McCaffrey goes down, I know we had some people in the comment section yesterday telling us that CMC went down for them last year. They were still able to win it all. That's the exception. Very rarely you're expecting that. If Christian McCaffrey goes down in this format, yeah, you're most likely going to lose. But at the end of the day, last time we saw him healthy, 29.5 points per game, something that nobody can come close to. And I would say that there's probably, a 50-50 shot that he stays healthy this upcoming season. And if he stays healthy, he literally can break fantasy football to an extent that Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry simply can't. So that's why I'm personally willing to go out there and draft Christian McCaffrey at his ADP, understanding that, yes, there's a decent chance he gets injured and I lose my league, but I'm not playing to get 5th place. I'm playing to get 1st place. I would rather have 200 total drafts, and 100 of those drafts, I get 12th, I get dead last, and the other 100, I get 1st, and I'm bringing home the money. 6th place is not getting paid here. Okay, so Rigitani says, what's this site called for mock drafts? This is not a mock draft site. This is a real money fantasy football draft here. This is Underdog Fantasy. You can find the link in the description. I've already kind of bored everybody with our ad read for it, so I'm not going to go back into that, but please sign up with promo code FLOCK. Okay, so Kyle Pitts going at the 212. Y'all know Kyle Pitts last year, I hated the value when he was going as the 4th tight end off the board. As a rookie, I thought that was crazy. And he was going in the 3rd round as a rookie tight end. I couldn't get behind it. But based on the target volume, based on the yards per game we had his rookie season, combined with this prospect profile of being the best rookie tight end of all time, I will be fine drafting Kyle Pitts this season. I will definitely have Kyle Pitts. I'm pretty sure we only drafted him in 1 league last year out of hundreds of drafts. I'll have Kyle Pitts a lot more this season than we did last year. Okay, so T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans at the 303. Mike Evans, I actually think that this is a receiver that a lot of people need to look a little bit more in depth with. Now, some of the red flags that I would point out right off the bat would be he has an inflated touchdown rate, which is 100% something I need to point out, understanding that those touchdown rates are volatile season to season, and we would naturally assume that Mike Evans can't continue to score touchdowns at about 10% of his targets. But with Evans, we can say a couple things. A, he has one of the best damn quarterbacks in the NFL. That's naturally going to bump up your touchdown rate, your yards per target overall. B, Mike Evans is 6'5", and probably the best red zone threat outside of Davante Adams in the NFL. So with Mike Evans, I think he is the one exception outside of Davante Adams that you can confidently project his touchdown rate to be higher than league average. And you have no Antonio Brown this upcoming season. You have Rob Gronkowski is a 33-year-old tight end that really hasn't been able to show that he can stay healthy over a long period. And you have Chris Godwin. I believe he tore his knee up like December 16th, something along those lines. And if you just look 9 months out, best case scenario, Godwin, he's coming back week 2, week 3, best case scenario. Mahomes goes at the 308 here. I would have probably taken Mahomes in the 4th to get the stack with Kelsey. Very interesting to see Mahomes go here. I think once Tyreek Hill is traded, I personally can't be drafting Mahomes at the 308. I think that is way too rich. Love seeing George Kittle go right before us. Okay, y'all are going to make me do it, aren't y'all? You know what? I'm not going to. I understand DK Metcalf, a great value according to ADP here. But with DK Metcalf, I think he is currently being dramatically overvalued in fantasy football. He was the wide receiver 30 on a points per game last year. Now, of course, I am not saying that because he was the wide receiver 30 last year, he needs to be that wide receiver 30 this year. No, I'm not saying that in the slightest. But what I am going to be looking at is the fact that with DK Metcalf here, that fall off came where we didn't want to see it. It came with his targets per game. It came with his yards per game, these sticky numbers. And he is probably going to be playing with the worst quarterback of his NFL career this upcoming season. I know a lot of people down there in the chat right now are probably saying, oh, Mason, don't you know that he actually averaged more points per game with Geno Smith than Russell Wilson? That's because he had like a 90-yard touchdown with Geno Smith in one game. It was over a small sample as well. So yeah, we're going to go Antonio Gibson instead. I think that we can also make the tiebreaker that Antonio Gibson is the thumbnail of this live stream. But let's go with DJ Moore as our first wide receiver off the board. With DJ Moore, just consistency. Pretty sure we've had 1,000-yard season 3 years in a row from DJ Moore. This is a wide receiver that, yes, has been in the league for a while, drafted in 2019, but still only 25 years old, just got paid from the Carolina Panthers this offseason. Really like getting DJ Moore here. I think a couple of the other running backs were intriguing. The issue is, in Underdog in particular, you have to start 3 wide receivers, and with the best ball format, these guys are going to be flying off the board in rounds 4, 5, and 6. I can already tell that a lot of people in this draft, they're probably going to try to punish me for waiting until the 4th round to get our first wide receiver, but it is what it is. Okay, so now let's go. Joseph says, no Leonard Fournette. Wow, definitely Fournette and Breece Hall. Honestly, these are running backs that are right there in consideration with me for Antonio Gibson. If I had to rank my running backs right now, I would say that Leonard Fournette probably actually comes up closer to this range near Saquon Barkley. Now, the issue is, going back to what we were previously discussing with Dalvin Cook, with Leonard Fournette, if I have him ranked as an early 2nd round pick, I mean, yeah, that's great, and I can go out there and I can draft him there every single time. Or what I can do instead is I can put a cap on myself going, okay, you're drafting 200 plus leagues. Let's refrain from reaching on Leonard Fournette 2 to 3 rounds ahead of his average draft position. Instead, let's cap ourselves. We're not going to reach any more than 10 picks according to ADP on a given player, because if I'm considerably higher on Leonard Fournette than most people. Say, I think that Leonard Fournette is better than any option after Alvin Kamara here at the 208. Say that's the case. Well, I can still have Leonard Fournette on 50% of my teams if I tell myself, okay, after you have Dobbins, Antonio Gibson, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones off the board, then that's the range where we can begin taking Leonard Fournette. I can still come away with him everywhere. But to be drafting him in the third round when his ADP is so damn late, all of a sudden I'll just end up with 100% Leonard Fournette, which, like I said, if I draft 200 teams and I have 100% Leonard Fournette, he goes down for the year. I'm done. I'm declaring bankruptcy. And Joseph says Waller's going to be a monster this year. With Darren Waller, I was fully prepared to go buy low, all in on Darren Waller. Now, the issue is that this is a offense that now has the best red zone weapon in the NFL. The addition of Davante Adams really does scare me from a perspective of what is the realistic touchdown upside for Darren Waller now? I don't necessarily think that Hunter Renfrow is also someone we need to worry about. Hunter Renfrow, I personally moved way down my rankings, despite some people thinking the Davante Adams trade helped him. With Waller, I just find it hard. I find it hard to see the path to that elite ceiling if you have Davante Adams in that offense as well. Okay, so let's go through and look at this. Yeah, so we still don't have Leonard Fournette off. I will agree with y'all. I think Leonard Fournette is one of the best values in these drafts. And if you are hopping into a draft that is not on this live stream, which I know the majority of y'all are getting into drafts, not just with myself, but also just going and hopping in those public lobbies, please make sure you're going and taking Leonard Fournette ahead of his ADP. Please make sure you're taking him here at the end of the fourth. I believe his ADP right now currently sits in the 6th round. I was drafting him a month ago in the 7th round every single time when we didn't know Tom Brady was coming back to the Bucs. I mean, I just looked at the landscape, looked at the usage he had last year and said, hell, there's not really a landing spot that makes Leonard Fournette anything less than a top 20 running back. Being drafted as a low-end running back 2, high-end running back 3, it was ridiculous. So the ADP hasn't fully adjusted. So please, if y'all are going to hop into some of these drafts, make sure you go down there, queue up Leonard Fournette. Be willing to take him here at the 4 or 5 turn. Okay, so you have Amari Cooper going at the 501, and I really love seeing these running backs off the board. Selfishly, when we start with Dalvin, Antonio Gibson in the 1st and 3rd rounds, we need wide receivers to fall. 100% we need receivers to fall. It would be really nice to see a couple tight ends go off the board as well to get TJ Hawkinson off just to push some of these other wide receivers down, but I doubt that continues to happen. We have Travis Etienne at the 503. Y'all know I love Travis Etienne last year before the injury. I'm really excited to see Etienne this upcoming season. I mean, this is a running back that checks every single box. I mean, if you're looking at a prospect profile, he has the BMI to be a 3-down player. He had the elite college target share, indicating that he is going to be a great pass catcher at the next level. He had the minimum threshold for his 40-yard dash time. He had the 1st round NFL draft capital as well. He checks every single box besides the fact that he did not declare early coming out of Clemson. Now, if he was at the wide receiver position, I would be significantly dinging him for not coming out early. However, at running back, it's not nearly as big of a deal. Okay, so you have Joe Burrow going at the 506 to stack with Jamar Chase. Ezekiel Elliott at the 505, Josh Jacobs at the 504. Jacobs was another player very similar to Darren Waller. I was going to be very excited to go out there and tell people, hell, Josh Jacobs is going to be another target of ours this year when he's falling to the end of the 5th, the beginning of the 6th, just based on the raw amount of touches he will see this upcoming season and the touchdown upside they have. I mean, if you looked at Josh Jacobs 2 years ago, he was top 10 in the NFL with his carries inside the 10-yard line. However, I think with the addition of Davante Adams in that offense, that touchdown upside does go down just slightly. So I'm going to be a little bit more concerned. Okay, but now we are about to be back up on the clock at the 511. Okay. Yeah, this is wide receiver heaven here. This is exactly what we needed to see. I think we got really lucky because usually people will make us pay if we pass on a position early. Michael Pittman goes to the 510. I know Michael Pittman is skyrocketing up draft boards right now. I personally am going to go down a little bit. I know not many people are going to agree with me on this. Very similar to what we were discussing when we were looking at Christian McCaffrey, saying that, yes, there is definitely that inherent risk built into someone like Michael Thomas. But at the same time, we've seen the upside in 2019 for Michael Thomas to be a league-breaking, a record-setting wide receiver. And if he can come anything close to that level of upside that we have seen before, this could be potentially the Cooper Kupp pick last year. This could be the pick that swings your overall draft where, yeah, 100%. There's definitely a good chance that Michael Thomas busts this upcoming season. I mean, but we're taking him back to back with Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson, we saw A-Rob last year be, I believe, a wide receiver 7 on a points per game basis. I really don't think the opportunity cost is too high to go with someone like Michael Thomas here. Now, our next wide receiver, I would never consider Lockett in a league that was not best ball. Now, I feel like it's the sucker play to go Lockett regardless. I am going to go Tyler Lockett. I understand we passed on DK Metcalf previously. If you look at the production last year, Lockett was a significantly better option. Not projecting that this year. I'll definitely have DK Metcalf ranked ahead of Tyler Lockett. However, if we are talking about the opportunity cost to take these players, there is a much larger opportunity cost to take DK Metcalf over options like Antonio Gibson and DJ Moore than it is to take someone like Tyler Lockett over Mike Williams and Michael Carter. You know what? As I take a step back, it probably is a really bad pick. Let's not kid ourselves here, because what is exciting about Tyler Lockett from a best ball format is the fact that this is a receiver that, while yes, will have a ton of disappointing weeks, we have seen the elite level ceiling for Tyler Lockett to go out there and be able to drop 25 points any given week. And with this best ball format, when you're not submitting your starting lineup, Lockett's going to have that premium placed on him for those elite spike weeks. However, while yeah, we can get excited about a potential trade elsewhere, we probably just have to go Mike Williams. I mean, with Mike Williams, it's a very similar scenario where we know Mike Williams gives us a lot of duds, but he also has his own elite spike weeks in his range of outcomes. But the difference between these two receivers is Mike Williams, we know he's with Justin Herbert. He's in that great offense. So looking back on this, I think that was most likely a mistake. I think here we have to go Mike Williams going forward. Okay, so now let's see this wide receiver run happen. And I'm completely fine with the receiver run happening. Of course, I would kind of like to see a few more of these guys making it to us. It's not going to be the end of the world, though, when we have DJ Moore, Michael Thomas, and Tyler Lockett. I think we can kind of just sit here and relax. Now, if we were going through trying to figure out some mistakes that we made in this draft so far, some changes that we could be looking for, I actually really like the way we have gone with the individual positions. Like I said, possibly I prefer Joe Mixon over Dalvin Cook, but they're neck and neck for me, and we kind of have to go with the ADP with some of these selections. So with that first round pick, completely fine with Kelsey, with the volume that he'll have without Tyreek Hill in Kansas City this upcoming season. The 202, completely fine selection. He was going in the middle of the first last year. Of course, you're going to have to get that discount based on the fact that he will be turning 33 this upcoming season. Antonio Gibson, obviously you'd like this pick a whole lot more if J.D. McKissic was not there, but still, I mean, we've seen Antonio Gibson back-to-back finishes as a top 24 running back, and if it were the case that J.D. McKissic went down, I think Antonio Gibson does have top 10 overall upside. And if you look at the amount of targets, the combination of Naheem Hines as well as Jonathan Taylor got last year from Carson Wentz, very exciting. And DJ Moore, I think that he was the best wide receiver on the board. Michael Thomas, best wide receiver on the board, even though I know y'all probably wouldn't agree with me. And Tyler Lockett, despite him having the highest ADP overall, probably should have gone in the direction of Mike Williams, because I think they have similar profiles as boom bust receivers. The difference is Mike Williams does not have Drew Lock as his starting quarterback. Okay, so now let's get Elijah Mitchell finally off the board. I think Elijah Mitchell was probably the best player according to ADP for 10 picks there. Brandon Ayuk at the 705, Hunter Renfrow at the 706. Love the Juju pick in the 7th. I mean, if you're looking at Juju, this is a wide receiver that we have seen before be a top 10 option on a per game basis back when he was 21/22 years old. Absolutely ridiculous. Now, if we're looking at the rookies going off the board here, love this value with Kenneth Walker. This will be someone that's comparable to Nick Chubb in that he is not necessarily going to provide you anything with his usage in the receiving game. However, he's such a great runner between the tackles on first and second down. You can almost overlook that. So Trey Lance, Dak Prescott go off the board right before us. I'm probably going to go a rookie here. Yeah, I really like the idea of getting a receiver. I mean, if we're scrolling through this board, you do not see a whole lot of orange beyond this point. So we're probably going to go back-to-back receiver. Yeah, we're going to go Garrett Wilson here. ADP of 81. So we're taking him slightly behind that point with Garrett Wilson. He's actually my wide receiver 2 in this draft class. You have Kadarius Toney going directly after. Let's see. I would not be surprised. And honestly, if I had a bet on a wide receiver being the first wide receiver off the board in the NFL draft, I would most likely put my money on Garrett Wilson. But that, of course, doesn't necessarily mean is going to be the most valuable from a fantasy football perspective. Okay, so double D goes Kadarius Toney. Let's see where they're going with their second pick. Drake London. Okay, they go London. I was going to be put in a very difficult position, wondering if we could go back-to-back rookie wide receiver, knowing that points matter so much at the beginning of the season here as well. So where can we go? No. Okay, yeah, we just need to take Damian Harris. Okay, we got Devin Singletary. They're the exact same to me. I mean, here are the pros and cons with Devin Singletary. He's going to be attached to the best offense in the NFL this upcoming season. He avoided the J.D. McKissic disaster that Antonio Gibson got stuck with in free agency. And with Devin Singletary, this is a player that can get involved as a receiver. Now, the issue is Josh Allen can be vulturing those touchdowns at the goal line, where Damian Harris, he is going to have access to those touchdowns. We've seen Damian Harris be an elite touchdown scorer before. Now, if I had to bet on a player, I think they're almost identical at this point for us. I think both have the elite level ceiling. A.J. Dillon, of course, would be more appealing if you did not have Aaron Jones in that backfield. A.J. Dillon is a significantly better running back than Devin Singletary. This is just about getting touches in one of the best offenses in the NFL and trying to do so at a cheap price. Okay. Jordan says, where do you think Breece Hall could land that would not make you draft him at the 101? I actually got that question asked to me on Locals earlier today, and I don't have a good answer for you, to be completely honest. Okay, so let's go through. And Deeznator says, how bad of a pass blocker is Williams? That seems to be the only knock on him. I mean, Kenneth Walker. Honestly, I know a lot of people have focused in on pass blocking for running backs coming into the NFL. That's something people always talk about from a draft perspective. In reality, if you're looking at a metric basis, you don't necessarily need to worry about that, as NFL teams are going to be able to dictate that for us. I can tell you right now that NFL scouting departments have a better idea on blocking scheme and the players that will fit in that and how effective they can be than anybody on YouTube, including myself, can tell you. So I would say I probably am just going to lean on the draft capital with Kenneth Williams. I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep on saying Williams. Kenneth Walker. What I can do is I can tell you, I believe he had a 5.4% team college target share, which is a very bad mark, which essentially shows that he is not going to be able to be a receiver at the next level. So it doesn't really matter if he's a good or bad pass blocker, because I don't think he's going to be on the field on third downs. I think he's very similar to Nick Chubb. Y'all know I've never really been a fan of Nick Chubb before because he doesn't play on third downs, but that was when Nick Chubb was a first-round selection. If you're getting Kenneth Walker here in the 7th, sign me up every day of the week. Okay, so Deshaun Watson at the 904. I think with Deshaun Watson, this is a quarterback that has more upside than anybody not named Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. With Deshaun Watson, he has been a top 6 quarterback every single year of his NFL career. Every single year. It really does come down to how many games do you expect him to miss. I think it's a fantastic pick of Deshaun Watson there at the 904. Okay, so now let's switch this back over. Robert Woods falling like a rock. Robert Woods ADP of 79. We're about to be on pick 107. Miles Sanders goes to the 908. If we're looking for stacks with any quarterbacks available to us here, don't necessarily have any. I mean, Carolina, New Orleans, and Seattle all pretty much have the worst quarterback situation that you're going to be able to find. Okay, so yeah, receivers just about to get so damn ugly. Freiermuth goes to the 909. Love the Freiermuth pick. Of course, we have Kelsey, so can't really be taking Freiermuth here. I think we probably go back-to-back receiver. We'll see what Lockett does. Chase Edmonds. Okay, so with Robert Woods, don't love the transition from Los Angeles to Tennessee, obviously. What I'm a little bit more concerned with is when he had his injury, it's going to be very similar to a Chris Godwin type situation where he's possibly not going to be ready for the beginning part of the season. So I would not fault anybody for wanting to take Robert Woods here. I am personally going to have to pass. I think with Tyler Boyd, with the departure that you had from CJ Uzomah, that's going to open up a decent amount of targets available over the middle of the field. And if you were looking at Boyd from a per game standpoint over the past 3 years, he has outproduced this mark every single season. Now, of course, the issue is with Tyler Boyd, does he just take that significant step backwards if Jamar Chase and T. Higgins can account for a combined 60%, which that's not possible. But if they can combine for about 55% of the team's targets, which I don't necessarily think that would kill Tyler Boyd, just given the fact that they primarily and almost exclusively, pretty much exclusively, run 3 wide receiver sets in Cincinnati. So I'm fine rostering Tyler Boyd in a best ball perspective when we don't have to figure out when to throw him out there. Robert Woods goes to the 10-01. I would have taken Robert Woods if he were to fall to us. I almost just want to draft another receiver here. I understand the names aren't going to be that pretty. And you know what I'm going to have to do? I'm probably just going to go with the quarterback here. And the reason for this is if we look at the stacks that we'll have available to us, they're very ugly. Very, very ugly beyond this. Jalen Hurts is the perfect example of a quarterback that you simply don't need to stack because the majority of his value is coming from rushing the football. So because we're getting the majority of that value from rushing, it doesn't really matter who his pass catchers are because someone like Devonta Smith's not going to have a lot of value when Jalen Hurts can't get to 200 passing yards in a game. So I'll be fine taking Jalen Hurts at the 10-02. Deadpool's coming out and says, hey, big guy, on a dynasty perspective, would you rather have Mixon or Devontae Adams? Guy needs a running back, and I have great running back depth. My man, I hate to answer this question this way, but if you go back to our first Dynasty live stream, our first Dynasty startup draft after the Devontae Adams trade, I was on the clock. I believe it was the middle of the 4th round. And I took it down to the last second, debating back and forth with Joe Mixon and with Devontae Adams. I would say it comes down to your league format. If you play in a league where, say, you start 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and 1 to 2 flex spots, their wide receivers not going to matter nearly as much. However, if you play in a league where you start 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and at least double flexes, there I probably would pivot over and go with the Devontae Adams. Sal says, who do you see being the quarterback in Houston, Seattle, and Carolina? Big 22-22. Thank you, my man, for coming out. And I would say, I think with New Orleans, they're locked in to Jameis Winston. I think that's almost a guarantee at this point. With Carolina, I know that Baker Mayfield has said, I'm not going to Carolina. I know Carolina said, we don't want Baker Mayfield. So it makes it seem like the only options you really have are going to be in the NFL draft or Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't necessarily know which one you want. You probably want to have Jimmy Garoppolo for this upcoming season if you have someone like DJ Moore, but they could also go Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, or Malik Willis, depending on where they position themselves in the draft. Of course, there are going to be a lot of moves to be made. And here with Seattle, I think Seattle is right in line to either punt with Drew Lock or potentially go and move up to get someone like Malik Willis. I believe right now Seattle picks at 9, and it's definitely possible Malik Willis makes it there, but probably based on how things have been trending, it's unlikely. Dylan says, what do you think about the team so far? Double D in parentheses. Thank you, my man. Of course, let me go through, pull this up. I will hide my little camera real quick so everybody can see the entire draft board. It's going to be Double D here at the 112. Did not like that you took Joe Mixon from us at the 201. Love Mix. I honestly think, I know people are going to hate me saying this, I would rather have Joe Mixon than Derrick Henry this upcoming season. If we look at their raw number of touches, I'll probably lean with Mixon. If we look at the upgraded offensive line, I think it's comparable. Mixon's 25 years old compared to Derrick Henry being 28. If we look at the overall trips to the red zone, I think that's going to favor the Cincinnati Bengals. I know it's crazy. I love this value on Joe Mixon. I could talk myself into taking him over Dalvin Cook, but we have to kind of play with ADP here when we're doing so many drafts. DK Metcalf at the 312, completely fine with the DK Metcalf selection. When he was previously going at the end of the 2nd round, I thought that was atrocious, but when he falls as far in ADP, I'm fine with it. Herbert at the 401, I don't know if I am just a wet blanket here. I personally can't get behind this Justin Herbert selection. If we're looking at the receivers that were available on the board, someone like DJ Moore, I honestly would have preferred to go DK Metcalf, DJ Moore, especially if we're looking at the quarterbacks that are available a little bit later on. Because here, I mean, in the 6th round, you're able to possibly just grab someone like Dak Prescott. I understand you're reaching a lot according to ADP. I just have a hard time viewing Herbert in the same light as a Mahomes or a Josh Allen. Now, of course, if you had Keenan Allen, then it would be a little bit of a different story. Like if Keenan Allen fell to the end of the 3rd here, then you went Keenan, Justin Herbert. I'd be fine with that. Herbert at the 401 is a little bridge for me. Allen Robinson at the 512. I am personally probably going to be avoiding Allen Robinson. I would have gone with Mike Williams. I can't say really much else beyond that because I made the incorrect selection of Tyler Lockett at the 602 in the same range, though. Kadarius Toney, Drake London, love the pick, especially with the roster construction for both guys. I personally have Drake London ranked ahead of Garrett Wilson. Decided to go Garrett Wilson whenever he's going 10 picks ahead in ADP, understanding that I can get Drake London and a couple other drafts, but I think it's a fantastic selection there. Cordell Patterson, I believe that's your 3rd running back. Yeah, Cordell Patterson at the 912, given the limited options that they have in Atlanta, I think that's a completely fine selection as well. And Robert Woods at the 1001. I was sitting there debating Robert Woods or Tyler Boyd. So I really, really like that team. Okay, so Julio Jones, Melvin Gordon, Ramondre Stevenson off the board. Corey Davis to the 1108. Okay, let's pull this up. Noah Fant continuing to fall. Noah Fant should fall. I don't want to act like he is a great value here by any means. Okay, Cole Kmet at the 1109. Yeah, so you see that this is where the board really begins just getting ugly. I'm probably going to reach on someone here. If we're looking at the quarterback position, especially when we waited for Jalen Hurts, and this is a 20-round draft, I'm probably going to want to construct this team with 3 quarterbacks. Remember, you don't have waivers here, and also it's best ball, so your automatic highest-scoring player is going to slide right in. I'm going to reach on Tua. I'm not the biggest fan of Tua Tagovailoa, but if we're just looking at the fact that I think we kind of have to take quarterbacks in this range, or we're going to get boxed out of the position, I probably want to double-tap quarterback, and out of Trevor Lawrence, Ryan Tannehill, and Tua Tagovailoa, since we've had the Tyreek Hill acquisition, I think we probably just have to go there. Nick says the format is odd. It's start 1 running back, 1 receiver, and 5 flexes. Nick, that's the perfect format. Devontae Adams. Wide receiver. That's a wide receiver premium league. Really going to be avoiding running backs there. Okay, so Double D is up. They go Noah Fant. It looked like that was an auto selection because Noah Fant was at the top of ADP. He took it all the way down to the last second. Good for us. We have Kelsey, so that's going to be nice. I think with our next pick, I'm probably going to go with another quarterback. The thing is, would Malik Willis make it back to us? An ADP of 170. We'll be back up on the clock at 155. Definitely a possibility Malik Willis would make it back. Joshua Palmer goes to the 1201. You know what? Let's take Jacoby Myers. Jacoby Myers projects to be the wide receiver 1 in New England this upcoming season. In this format, you just need receiver. I'm fine taking Myers here. I think based on the fact that we could get someone like Malik Willis making it back to us, I know because we're live streaming this and because I said something out loud, it's probably not happening. But we also have Jameis Winston if we miss out on Malik Willis, and Jameis Winston would complete the stack with Michael Thomas. Okay, so CW attacks us. It's so hard for me to go from a dynasty mentality to redraft after just doing a startup. My man, I'm right there with you. I make a dynasty video every single day. I'm literally talking with with people about dynasty 24/7. So I know it's difficult. Trust me. Okay, so we got Marquez Valdes-Scantling at the 1204. Fantastic selection with Marquez Valdes-Scantling, especially in this format when you're not having to go out there and submit a starting lineup every single week with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Just going to be a player that will automatically slide into your starting lineup when he has those random spike weeks with 30-plus points. If you look at the overall construction of this Kansas City Chiefs offense, it makes a lot of sense. They have the field stretching option with Marquez Valdes-Scantling. They have the elite tight end with Kelsey, and they have the wide receiver to operate underneath in Juju Smith-Schuster to soak up the dump offs and that volume closer to the line of scrimmage. So you have Tom Brady at the 1206, Malik Willis at the 1207. I am an idiot. It looks like Brady was much further down this ADP list. Of course. You prefer Tom Brady over Tua Tagovailoa, over Derek Carr, over Kirk Cousins, over Justin Fields. Tom Brady should have been off this draft board 2 to 3 rounds ago. This is why you watch this live stream. This is why you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy and steal some people's money, because this ADP list is so messed up. I guess Tom Brady was still pushed down there from the fake retirement. Okay, so let's go through. Gregory says, what's your best advice on starting up a dynasty league? I have never done one. I would say look for a league that the commissioner has strict rules in place and has been a commissioner for a very long time, of other leagues as well. That would be my advice if you're looking for one. Alan Lazard at the 12-11. Great pick with Alan Lazard as well. Of course, projects to be the wide receiver 1 right now in Green Bay. Not going to be the case after the NFL draft, but hell, if he does right now, that's enough to take him here at the 12-11. Logan Thomas pretty much has 1 year left of guaranteed money in Washington. If you look historically, Carson Wentz has really favored the tight end position. I understand he had some elite level tight ends in Philadelphia with a combination of Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert. But even in Indianapolis, he went out there. He targeted Jack Doyle. He targeted Mo Alley Cox quite a bit. Keel Herbert, a running back that I know we were saying to sell high on last season, when people just see 2 to 3 weeks of a player and all of a sudden think it's going to be something forever. With Herbert, instead, he is just a premium handcuff running back, very similar to Tony Pollard. Like, Keel Herbert is a poor man's Tony Pollard, where you're never going to be able to start him when there's a healthy running back in front of him, whether that's Ezekiel Elliott, whether that's David Montgomery. But if that running back were to go down, all of a sudden, he's probably a low-end RB1. Cole Hardman at the 13-04 will be running a lot of routes in Kansas City. Of course, y'all know I got burned by Hardman last year as a late round dart throw. Curtis Samuel at the 13-06. Okay, so Tannehill is continuing to fall. Van Jefferson goes with the 13-08. Thank God we went Jacoby Myers last round as our wide receiver 6. Ronald Jones at the 13-09. Interesting. Thomas, I think you definitely could have waited a very long time to get Rojo. I'm assuming, I have no idea where Ronald Jones was in ADP. Okay, wide receiver. Okay, so we are going to want a third quarterback here. War Rocket goes Hunter Henry. I was planning on waiting and possibly taking Jameis Winston. The thing is, we're going to want a third quarterback. Ryan Tannehill has an ADP of 131, and we're closing in on pick. This is 157. It's 2.5 rounds he's fallen. Probably should just take him here by the bullet. We'll be done with quarterback position after Tannehill. But if you're looking at double D between us, he only has one quarterback. While yes, that is Justin Herbert. I'd imagine there would have been a chance he goes Tannehill here if we did not do that already. David Bell is a wide receiver that if you're looking at his ADP, yes, he has fallen a considerable amount. But a big thing with David Bell is the reason for his fall, I can't necessarily get behind. I was screaming that he was overrated when everybody had him as a top receiver. I mean, at the very beginning of the offseason in Dynasty. But since his 40-yard dash time, people have just plummeted David Bell down rankings. And if you look historically, a 40-yard dash time is not predictive at the receiver position nearly as it is at running back and tight end. So I honestly may just begin to take the discount on guys like David Bell here. There's one rookie I prefer over David Bell. However, I don't know if we can go with him at this pick. You know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go with Dotson. Yeah, we're scrolling down ADP. But, I mean, this is a tight end. I mean, this is a wide receiver that has a realistic chance of going late round 1. And I think at this point in drafts, it may serve you well to try to look at those rookie wide receivers that are going to go in the back half of the first round and try to load up on as many of those guys as possible. Players like Chris Olave, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, because you have 4 picks there made up of the Green Bay Packers and the Kansas City Chiefs. So if we can take a swing on a player like that does have profile, he dominated targets his junior season at Penn State and was hyper productive there as well. I'm going to be fine taking him at the 14-02. Gregory says 40 don't mean anything. I've gone through and I've done extensive research on exactly what the 40-yard dash means. And I'll tell you, it means a crap ton at running back. It is hyper predictive at the running back position. At receiver, I agree with you. It honestly doesn't mean much at all. It's funny, if you run like faster than a 4.32, you're essentially doomed at the next level because you're going to be typecasted as a field stretching option that's never really going to command volume. And essentially, if you run faster than a 4.32, you're off my draft board, as crazy as that sounds. But you need to give a small ding to receivers that run slower than a 4.61, but it really isn't going to matter too much if they operate as a slot wide receiver. Very similar to what we said about Amara St. Brown last year. With St. Brown, I mean, yeah, we had to ding him for falling in the draft. We had to ding him for the 40-yard dash time, but we didn't ding him nearly as much as we would have if he won with vertical routes in college. David Bell didn't win with verticality in college. He won closer to the line of scrimmage and over the middle of the field. Okay, Young Glim says, am I able to do a draft like one of these? Yes, all you have to do is go to the link in the description, go to the link in the live chat where it says join our next draft here. Click on that. That will take you to Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code FLOCK. When you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. On top of that, you will get access to our rankings for an entire month. On top of that, you'll get an in-depth research from us on Dynasty Fantasy Football, which will apply to your 2022 leagues. And that's over 100 pages of quality content, all with signing up with promo code FLOCK. And I'll tell you, you support this channel more than you would ever believe if you decide to do that. You can find the link in the description. We're going to be doing these live streams at least once a week until we get to about August. And then I'm going to be doing them every single day for probably about 6 hours a day. Okay, so let's go through. And Trey McBride goes to the 1503. Donta Foreman goes at the 1502. Donta Foreman, a premium handcuff running back here. Looks like he's just a better version of Chuba Hubbard last year. If you were that worried about the Christian McCaffrey injury history, if you really think Christian McCaffrey is 100% destined to go down, you need to be drafting Donta Foreman in 100% of your leagues. 100% of those leagues. Albert O at the 1505. One of the better values I've seen. Love that pick with Albert O. I have my own player at the tight end position that we are going to be targeting in just 1 second. Carson Wentz goes to the 1506. Jerick McKinnon at the 1507. Has there been any news on McKinnon? Have I missed something? We have a lot of wide receivers making back. Just we actually need some running backs. I wasn't even paying attention. We need some running backs here. So we cannot draft quarterback. We are exclusively running back, receiver, and tight end. Thomas goes Marvin Jones. I'm looking up a depth chart here to make sure that there weren't any signings I'm unaware of. Yeah, right now you have 3 running backs on the roster. We're going with Kenneth Gainwell. We do have Jalen Hurts here. That doesn't really matter too much. We're going to go Kenneth Gainwell. We need another RB. We're getting him approximately 33 picks behind his ADP. I don't really see anything that's changed over the past week unless I am mistaken and Spotrac is not updated here. But it looks like they have not signed anyone. Okay, so we go Kenneth Gainwell. Let me show you all this board real quick. And we just passed 100 likes in the live stream. Of course, thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping a like. Nyheim Hines at the 1512. I was taking Nyheim Hines after Gainwell. In a best ball format in particular, I probably prefer Nyheim Hines. The thing is, he has an ADP of 40 picks after, so I thought we could get Nyheim Hines with our pick in the 16th. Great pick with Hines. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out. There are 2 players that I'm dying to have right now. We're going to go Nico Collins because I just think the wide receiver position is going to continue to dry up. And with Nico Collins, he looks like he is the wide receiver 2 on his offense. I mean, he did definitely flash as a rookie, So completely fine grabbing Nico Collins here from a best ball format in particular. When we take Travis Kelce, we are making a bet that Kelce stays healthy all season, and he is the tight end 1. So we're going to have to go wide receiver. Jayan says, you see K and Grim checking off BMI and 40-yard dash boxes. My man, let's see if he checks off the draft capital box. If that happens, I'll be impressed, but I doubt it. Okay. Miles says, yeah, I think they signed Boston Scott to a 1-year deal. Yeah, that's what I saw. I think they have 3 running backs on the roster in Philadelphia. Clay says, will Rashad Penny be any good this upcoming season? Trust me, I love me some Rashad Penny. I love Rashad Penny. I have been higher on Rashad Penny than almost anybody since 2018. And I don't say that as a brag. I say that because I've been wrong on Rashad Penny every single year since then. Because if we go to our prospect profile box just to figure out everything you need from a running back, size, he crushes it with his BMI. 40-yard dash time, he crushed it. Drafted in the first round of the NFL draft, obviously off the charts there. And he was a fantastic receiver at San Diego State. But the issue with Rashad Penny is not that he doesn't have the ability to be a good running back. The issue with Rashad Penny is the fact that he does not have the ability to stay healthy. And that's why I am personally not going to be that excited about Penny this upcoming season, because I've always thought he was healthy. Always thought he was talented. Always knew he was talented. But just because he stayed healthy for 5 games doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be able to stay healthy this upcoming year. And I know that y'all are saying, oh, Mason, you always talk about that injuries don't really matter. Well, this is a player that has been injured 2018, 2019, 2020, and the majority of 2021 for 4 years in a row. And he has like a 5-game stretch. That's an extreme sample. Baby Cal's thoughts on Rachaad White. Rachaad White was an elite pass catcher at Arizona State. Obviously, with Rachaad White, you're looking at that college target share, I believe, over 18%. Absolutely ridiculous. He looks like he's going to go in late round 3, early round 4 of the NFL draft. If he slides up to being a top 100 pick in the NFL draft, hopefully getting up to like being a top 80 pick, that'd be fantastic. The one issue holding him back for me to say he has the elite level upside is he looks like he's going to be a little bit small. He looks like he may not necessarily have it in his range of outcomes to be a David Johnson level player, where David Johnson went in a very similar range of the NFL draft to Arizona. David Johnson had a similar athletic profile, and he was a dominant pass catcher in college. I mean, David Johnson, if you look at our prospect profile, he is off the charts. But the difference between David Johnson and someone like Rachaad White is David Johnson's just a much bigger running back. So with White, I think he will definitely be valuable in a PPR format. I'm a little bit more worried that he is closer to Nyheim Hines than he is with David Johnson, however. Okay, so Justin Jackson at the 1703, Justin Ross 1704, Calvin Ridley 1705. Interesting. I guess if Ridley did get reinstated, that's actually a good point. You know what we should probably be doing is hopping into some of these tournament drafts where there's $20,000 up top on Underdog, and taking some last round Calvin Ridley. Just saying, hell, if I did that last year with Deshaun Watson, obviously didn't pan out, but if Watson came back, all of a sudden you had access to an unrivaled upside if you take someone like Calvin Ridley, the 1705, and he does make his way back. Okay, now seeing Matt Ryan, seeing Jameis Winston come back to us with pick 203, it makes our selection of Ryan Tannehill, who we took at pick 155, makes our quarterback selection look horrendous. It is horrendous with hindsight. My issue is Jameis Winston has an ADP of 102. I didn't know he was going to go out there and fall over 20 picks past his ADP. I didn't know Matt Ryan was going to fall 40 picks past his ADP. We can't take another quarterback, however, so we are just going to be stuck with running back, receiver, and tight end. Yeah, there's a running back that I love here. There's a receiver that's actually pretty exciting as well. It looks like Double D has 8 wide receivers as is. They can continue to go receiver, but it's not going to be a priority for them. So I may actually take our running back here. Yeah, we're going to take our running back. We're going to go Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake does have the guaranteed contract in Las Vegas this upcoming season, which of course we can be very excited about. And with Kenyon Drake, this is a running back that, I mean, if you're looking at just the receiving upside plus what we saw in 2019 when he was in Arizona, this is a running back that can be a 3-down option if Josh Jacobs goes down. So I think that Kenyon Drake's very similar to someone like Tony Pollard that you're taking 10 rounds before this. So I'm fine with Drake. James White at the 1712. Let's see where Double D goes. Actually, there are a couple wide receivers that I kind of like here. This is to the point where you really need to understand depth charts. Let me pull this up on SpoTrack real quick. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Come on. Wide receiver. There are a couple guys I really like. We'll go Marquez Callaway. It is what it is. I think with Callaway, we can use the tiebreaker that we have. Michael Thomas, we can make the one correlated bet on the New Orleans Saints offense that if all of a sudden Jameis Winston can go back to 2019, if he can provide multiple top 10 seasons to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, not saying it's guaranteed to happen, but of course, there's the outside chance Marquez Callaway is a top 36 wide receiver. If we get Jameis Winston to go out there and air it out, maybe a new coaching staff coming in, no longer Sean Payton, they allow him to turn into that air raid quarterback we once knew and loved. Okay, Matt Ryan at the 1803, best pick in the draft. If you're looking at Matt Ryan here, comparing him to Daniel Jones in the 14th, where we took Ryan Tannehill in the 13th, where we took Tua Tagovailoa in the 11th, like easily give me, Matt Ryan in the 18th over Tua in the 11th, 100%. Okay, so I see we are on the clock in the Flock 18. I'll get to that after the live stream. I promise you that. KJ Hamler is one of the wide receivers that we are looking at with KJ Hamler. Obviously, the quarterback upgrade is exciting. And on top of that, with no Noah Fant, there's the outside chance that there are just more opportunities for them to run 3 and 4 wide receiver sets. AJ Green at the 1806. Has AJ Green signed anywhere yet? Did he re-sign with Arizona? Let me pull this up. Robert Tonyan at the 1809. J.D. McKissic, 1808. This is a fantastic selection. With J.D. McKissic here, this is a running back from a best ball format in particular. Like if in your regular fantasy league, you're not drafting J.D. McKissic because there's no chance he ever goes out there and walks into a 20-plus touch workload, even in the case of an injury to Antonio Gibson. So it's going to be impossible to project him. But from a best ball perspective, when you don't have to, J.D. McKissic in the 18th, fantastic, fantastic pick. Yeah, so it looks like AJ Green not under contract this upcoming season, based on what I'm seeing. Okay, so I think, honestly, we're probably going to cut the live stream here just because, I don't think too many people are interested in seeing picks past Brevin Jordan, Robert Tonyan. But let me show y'all the entire draft board. Of course, please go down there, drop a like on this live stream, subscribe to the channel, go sign up for Underdog Fantasy, use promo code FLOCK, take advantage of all the offerings that we have with promo code FLOCK, and it supports this channel more than you would ever believe. We're going to be getting a ton of these live streams underway. Going to be super excited about it. But thank you again for being a part of the flock. I hope you enjoyed the stream, and I hope we get to see you with the video. I'll have a video out here for y'all hopefully on Saturday.